Hey, Friday Night Lights fans! It's Not Only Football, Friday Night Lights and Beyond is an episode-by-episode discussion of the hit TV series Friday Night Lights, hosted by yours truly, Scott Porter, who played Jason Street on the show, and my two wonderful co-hosts.
Me, Zach Guilford, a.k.a. Matt Saracen.
And me, Mae Whitman, a.k.a. someone who wasn't on the show but really, really loves it a lot.
We will also bring on some special guests, answer your questions, and tell you about what's going on in our lives today.
It's Not Only Football, Friday Night Lights and Beyond, coming soon wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 289 of the True Crime All the Time Unsolved podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, what is going on?
What's going on with you, man?
You know, I'm not doing too bad. I did vent a little bit on Patreon.
You did.
About the time change and how it's affected me, but overall, I'm doing pretty good.
I think I just said get outside and get some vitamin D, man.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. And it's something I probably should do. Let's go ahead and give our Patreon shout outs. We had Brianna Perry.
What's going on, Brianna?
Katie Brady.
Hey, Katie.
Rachel Banyas jumped out at our highest level.
Banyas.
Crystal Wilson.
Hey, Crystal.
Lindsay Stinson.
What's up, Stinson?
Donna Fahey.
Hey, Fahey.
Nancy Lazarin.
Well, thank you, Nancy.
True Crime Girl jumped out at our highest level.
Appreciate that, crime girl.
W. Jane.
Hey, Jane.
Graves Debbie.
Well, thank you, Debbie.
Andrew Boss.
Hey, boss in the house.
Taylor Miles.
What's going on, Miles?
Matthew Simmons jumped out at our highest level.
Appreciate that, Simmons.
Caleb Leach.
Hey, Caleb.
Evie Mayhorn.
Well, Mayhorn.
Corinne Coben.
Appreciate that, Coben.
Krista Patty.
Patty.
Laura Gross.
What's going on, Laura?
Stephanie Sue Smith.
Stephanie.
Jennifer Eichhoff.
Hey, thank you, Jennifer.
Jaron Rodriguez.
Hey, what's up, Rodriguez?
Jed Richards, who sent us a bunch of stuff in the mailbag.
Jed did, didn't he?
Yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Bryce Quick.
Hey, appreciate that, Bryce.
And then we go back into the vault. This week we selected Nadia Hall.
Man, you're awesome, Nadia.
Yeah, thank you, Nadia, for supporting us all this time. On PayPal, we had a happy birthday donation for Sean from Calgary.
Well, happy birthday, Sean.
Yep, I'm sure he knows who that's from. And we also had a donation from Yvonne Sangster.
Well, thank you, Sangsta.
Yeah, thank you to everyone. Gibbs, right now we have an episode out on TCAT. We're talking about Ruth Ellis, who was the last woman executed in the UK. Case that goes back to the 50s, but it's a interesting case in that it's very controversial about, you know, number one, should she have been convicted of murder back then? Would she be convicted of murder today?
And that's a good debate.
It is. And it is because I don't want to give it away, but she had certain things going on that may or may not have precipitated her killing.
Yeah.
Someone.
And, you know, her case has been showcased on that movie with that one guy.
Sure.
And that one girl. And, you know.
They were all in it.
Yeah. And it was called That One Thing.
Yep. All right, buddy. Are you ready to get into this episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved?
I'm ready.
We're talking about the mysterious deaths in Devil Gulch of the Gerrish family. In August 2021, an entire family went missing after going on a hike in the California Sierra Mountains. Every family member was found dead, as was their dog. Each had died apparently where they stood, with no apparent cause of death, while the coroner and sheriff would announce an official cause of death just 2 months later. Many believe that their reasoning doesn't make a lot of sense and just leaves a lot of questions unanswered. So, you know, what we're going to be looking at is what really happened to the Gerrish family that day. And is it as simple as the authorities believe, as they announced on August 19th, 2021, The Mercury News headline read, "Missing Northern California family of 3 found dead in remote hiking area identified." Several days before that headline, 31-year-old Ellen Chung, her husband, 45-year-old Jonathan Gerrish, their 1-year-old daughter, Aurelia, who they called Miju, along with their dog, Oski, an 8-year-old Aussie Akita mix, went hiking on a trail in the Sierra National Forest in an area known as Devil's Gulch. The entire family was reported missing the next day, on August 16th, by their nanny, who showed up to work but found an empty house instead. Jonathan Gerrish and Ellen Chung were a fit and active couple. John sported a long, dark ponytail. He was a pretty buff guy. He looked healthy and happy in the couple's photos that they posted online. Ellen Chung had long, dark hair, which she usually wore down. Her online photos show her with a radiant smile, usually holding their 1-year-old daughter, Miju. They were experienced and avid hikers, and they had hiked dozens, if not hundreds, of trails as a couple and even as a family. John and Ellen had moved to the Mariposa area from San Francisco after they visited the area and fell in love with it.
So they really sound like this picture perfect family. You know, they're healthy, they're enjoying life, they have this beautiful daughter, this amazing dog. I love Akitas. And then as we find out, this tragic event occurs.
But I also think it's important to talk about, you know, how they were fit, they were active, and they were experienced hikers. I think those are all important factors to consider, you know, as we move forward through this case. The day before the hike, on August 14th, Jonathan researched the trail that they would be hiking using his iPhone on an app called AllTrail, which apparently gives detailed information about trail conditions, reviews from other hikers, and photos. However, the information on the site is not guaranteed to be accurate or updated regularly, but it's still considered a pretty good resource. He was researching a nearby area in the Sierra Mountains called Devil's Gulch. Now, there's probably no need to say this, but I'm not familiar with AllTrail. I don't do a lot of hiking.
You do not.
I am neither fit nor active.
Which are probably two critical components to doing a hike like that.
Yeah, therefore I do not do it. But what I will say is that sometimes I wish I was that person.
Yeah.
Who was just happy getting out and going on a hike. And that's just not something that makes me happy. I've never been wired that way. I do like the outdoors, but I need to be fishing or playing golf or, you know, doing something like that. Walking just doesn't do it for me.
Just like to get in your truck and drive up to where you need to fish?
Yes. And then either fish from the bank or get in a boat from that location. You know, there's, you know, I'm not a Navy SEAL, man.
Well, that's going to the extreme there, but yeah, I'm just thinking, I know how much you love that Outdoorman show. I forget what it's called.
I like all those outdoor shows.
Yeah. All
those shows where you test your limits.
Yeah.
You also notice I don't apply to go on any of those shows.
No, you're not going to test your limits.
No. So they left early. They brought water and snacks, and they planned to complete the hike before mid-afternoon. At the time, AllTrail estimated the hike as an 8-mile loop that would take 4 hours to complete. It has since changed on the site to reflect a 5-mile in and out trail. From what I understand, there are several offshoots on the trail. There are some roads that are described as, you know, forestry or forested.
Yeah, forested.
Yeah. I'm not sure which one is correct. There are some dirt access type roads that hikers also use on what is called the Salvage Lundy Trail.
I remember just a little bit more than a year ago, I went hiking up at the state park near Yellow Springs there. And I remember going in thinking, I'm just going to go in for like an hour, come back out. It was 5 hours later because it was very easy to get lost. And then you're backtracking and you think you're headed the right way. And nope, this is not the same trail I came in on. And
you know why? Because you didn't have a plan and you didn't use, apparently, All Trail.
well, I did not use All Trail. That's correct. And my iPhone died.
So you were really prepared for this hike, is what
Well,
you're
I
telling
thought I
me.
was going in for an hour and coming back out.
As soon as the family was reported missing on the morning of the 16th, police went to explore the trail. The family said they would be hiking. Their car was found parked at the trailhead lot for the salvaged Lundy Trail shortly before 2 a.m. by a sheriff's deputy. The bodies of Gerrish, Chung, Miju, and Oski were found 7.5 hours later. The entire family, including the baby and the dog, were found dead on the trail about 1.6 miles from their car in an area known as the Devil's Gulch. It appeared that the family was returning from their hike to the trailhead parking lot. Investigators believe that they had been hiking for approximately 4 hours at the time of their deaths. Jonathan was found in a seated position with his dog Oski nearby, still wearing a leash, and baby Miju was still in her carrier. Ellen was found approximately 30 yards away at a higher elevation, and it looked like she was possibly going for help or returning to their car.
I'm just visualizing this scene.
It's going to be a tough one to take in.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, obviously you have 2 adults who have died, but you also have a 1-year-old baby and a dog.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I know that's tough for listeners, but imagine being the person who stumbles upon this scene. That's going to be really tough to deal with. The Associated Press reported that no cause of death was immediately apparent. Upon looking at the bodies, there were no bruises or injuries. There was no blood. No vomit could be seen. It was reported that they almost looked as if they were all asleep. Jonathan had a cell phone in his pocket, but there was no reception in this area. The family carried snacks, a baby bottle of formula for Miju, and an 85-ounce water bladder. And it was said that the water bladder still contained a small amount of water when the family was discovered. Testing of the water showed none of the toxins found in the nearby river, alerting investigators that they didn't fill up the water bladder. An article in Outdoor Magazine stated that each adult requires 125 ounces of water for an easy to moderate hike lasting 3 hours. And I don't understand that at all. I'm going to be honest with you. That seems like a very big number.
It does.
That is over 10 like regular size water bottles. Well, you know, when I read that they had 85 ounces of water, I thought, okay. At first I thought that was plenty.
Yeah, for all of them.
5 hours or 4 hours, whatever it's going to be. I don't even know if I could drink 10 water bottles in 3 hours.
I don't know if I can either.
Now I get it. You have to replenish.
Right.
But they're even saying easy to moderate hike. I don't know. It just seems like a lot. I'm not saying it's wrong. It just seems like a lot. This area of the Sierra National Forest was immediately closed off, and teams of investigators in hazmat suits came in to investigate who or what might have killed all 4 members of the Gerrish family. So this area in Marin County, California, in the town of Mariposa, known as the Devil's Gulch, has a campground, there's a trail. It's an isolated area, but very popular with hikers. So there are almost always people around while on the trail or in the campground. The area is spotted with abandoned mines, which strangeoutdoors.com numbers at about 3,000.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of abandoned mines, all left over from California's gold rush boom of the 19th century. There are also a lot of creeks, streams, and natural ponds that can be seen from the trail, which will play into the story later on.
I kind of like how it has all these mines and it has the streams, and it just sounds like a good place to hike and do some adventuring.
Yeah, I don't know how much adventuring you should be doing in these abandoned mines, but I get you. It's also in California. I'm assuming the weather's nice.
Well, that's true too.
Maybe I would hike more if I lived in California. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Probably not. The 3 bodies of Jonathan, Ellen, and Miju were sent for autopsy. Oski's body was sent out for a necropsy, the term used for an autopsy on an animal. The Fresno Bee reported that the first autopsies conducted did not include a cause of death within the report, spurring additional speculation and theories as to what may have killed all three human members of the family at essentially what was thought to have been the same time. Despite not knowing the official cause of death, the park was reopened, and authorities held a press conference to assure the public that there was no danger in the area. They said it was perfectly safe. The Mariposa Sheriff's Office did say that while an official cause of death was unknown, they had ruled out deaths due to the following reasons: a gun or any weapon, suicide, a lightning strike, illegal drugs or alcohol, and any chemical hazards along the trail, including carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, or cyanide exposure.
It's quite a list.
Yeah, I mean, so I think they're doing two things here. But mainly what they're doing is reassuring the public.
Yeah, it's safe. Come back on out. Get your hike on.
There's nothing to worry about. Now, we still don't know how these three individuals died, but it wasn't this, or this. And it wasn't anything found along the trail. And it also wasn't a serial killer or, you know, somebody who's targeting hikers, because there was no violence, gun violence, or any other type. So they're giving some information, but I think, to me, the main part here is to really put the public at ease, at least about their own safety.
Yeah.
It was about 2 months later, when a second autopsy was performed, that a cause of death would be officially recorded. And it would prove completely unsatisfactory to many, leading to rumors and conspiracy theories being posed, both online and even in the mainstream press. Now, online conspiracy theories are pretty normal. It's really hard to research an unsolved case and not find a ton of conspiracy theories online.
Oh, yeah.
Or theories. But, you know, a lot of conspiracy theories too. I think we also do sometimes see them in the mainstream press, but those are more in instances where I guess the official declarations by law enforcement are a little hard to swallow. And maybe that's what we're going to find here as well.
And we've, like you said, we've seen it in the past.
But there were some details that were released. On the morning of August 15th, their family, along with their dog, Oski, were seen at around 7:45 a.m. in the area of the Height Cove Trailhead parking area, the elevation of which is listed as 3,800 feet. It's estimated that they began the 5-mile round-trip hike at 8 a.m. The temperature was documented at 75 degrees at that early morning hour, although obviously it would rise quickly in the summer sun. We are talking about August here.
That's right. In a desert.
The Height Cove Trail is rated as a moderately difficult trail, meaning that there are usually sharp inclines or physical barriers that might pose some challenges to inexperienced or novice hikers.
It's kind of what we call your steps to get out of this basement called.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I call them moderately difficult.
Yeah.
Baby Miju was in a cloth baby carrier that held her against a parent's chest, although it's not clear who was carrying her as they set off on the hike. Obviously, it would have been either John or Ellen. The trail initially descends into the Gulch that the area is named after before climbing to a higher elevation further along the trail.
So this should have been an easy trail for John and Ellen.
Yeah, I mean, I got from the research that, you know, just look at the number of hikes they had been on. This didn't sound like something that was going to be tough for them. Now, they were carrying a 1-year-old baby.
Yeah.
And they also had their dog with them. After 2 miles, the family, along with Oski, who was trotting alongside them, were seen leaving the Height Cove Trail. and entering a Forest Service road that runs parallel along the Merced River's South Fork. It's possible that they wanted to extend their hike and weren't ready to turn back at the rapidly approaching halfway point, or maybe they wanted to explore the scenery along the river. Either way, that Forest Service road is at an elevation of just 1,930 feet, and the temperatures were recorded in the area to be between 92 and 100 degrees.
That's really hot.
Yeah, 92 is hot for me, doable, but 100, I'm out. I'm just telling you. At triple digits, I'm indoors.
Yeah.
With the AC blasting.
Got to have some type of shade going on.
Shade's not enough. I need AC.
Yeah.
I'm not going outside.
Not enough ice in the world to make that comfortable for you.
Nope. True Crime All the Time Unsolved is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Let's face it, sometimes multitasking can be overwhelming. Like when your favorite podcast is playing and the person next to you is talking and your car fan is blasting, all while you're trying to find the perfect parking spot. But then again, sometimes multitasking is easy, like quoting with Progressive Insurance. They do the hard work of comparing rates, so you can find a great rate that works for you, even if it's not with them. Give their nifty comparison tool a try, and you might just find getting the rate and coverage you deserve is easy. All you need to do is visit Progressive's website to get a quote with all the coverages you want, like comprehensive and collision coverage or personal injury protection. Then you'll see Progressive's direct rate, and their tool will provide options from other companies all lined up and ready to compare. So it's simple to choose the rate and coverages you like. Press play on comparing auto rates. Quote at progressive.com to join the over 27 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. Sherry Warren was a young mother looking for a fresh start, recently divorced. She had to move out, found a great new job, and even found a new boyfriend. She was happy for the first time in a long time. But on a crisp October evening, after a long day, she said goodbye to her coworkers, left the office, and was never heard from again. All eyes quickly turned towards her ex-husband. He had previously lured another woman into the woods, beating her with a tire iron. But there was another man that piqued the interest of investigators, Sherry's new boyfriend. He was a former reserve police officer with a dark history of sexual violence. The two men closest to Sherry swore they loved her and promised to protect her. But did one of them murder her? In season 3 of the hit true crime podcast Cold, host Dave Colley digs into what really happened to Sherry. Hey, Prime members, listen to the Amazon Music exclusive podcast Cold in the Amazon Music app. Download the app today. You know what, folks? We have enough pressure in our life. Don't fall for that pressure to put off fun until you deserve it. You've already earned some fun, so have it. And a great way to have fun is to play the game Best Fiend. You've heard me talk about it. I love this game. I'm well over level 400. This is a game that's just easy to pick up and play a few levels at any time. I like to play in between the writing and the research that I do for the podcast. Best Fiends is a free to download mobile puzzle game with thousands of exciting levels for new adventures and challenges every time you play. There are dozens of unique fiends to collect. You can even customize your team of fiends to help defeat the menacing slugs. There's offline play, so you're never stranded without fun, even if you lose your internet connection. And they do a great job of coming up with brand new events and challenges that pop up year round. So you always have a chance to earn exclusive in-game items, characters, and rewards. You've earned your fun time. Go to the App Store or Google Play to download Best Fiends for free. Plus, earn even more with $5 worth of in-game rewards when you reach level 5. That's friends without the R. Best Fiends. The LA Times reported Sheriff Breezy described the road known as Savage Lundy as challenging due to an area of a steep incline that can be physically taxing. Also, this road or trail faces the southwest during its entire length, exposing it to the sun. And as the area was affected by the 2018 Ferguson fire, no relation, much of it had no tree canopy to provide any shade to hikers. So, I think when you look at the temperatures, the incline, the constant sun beating down, it would make for a pretty challenging hike, even for seasoned outdoor people.
Yeah, I don't even know if it would feel like a challenge. I think it would just be torture.
Now, I can think of things that probably a lot of hikers would think are more challenging. Just a steep incline. Okay. I mean, it's hard to walk up a steep incline, but is it fairly flat? Is it really rocky? You could get into some really nasty trails where you're having to traverse steps almost. And, I can think of something like that, and people are probably saying, this doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah, but when you have that type of heat pounding down on you.
Well, and I think that's why I think that's why we're talking about all the factors put together. So we talked about no official cause of death. That kind of left a void. Many in the scientific community, journalists, and even laypersons began debating theories about what could have killed 3 humans and a dog at essentially the same time, leaving no marks and no visible evidence of what killed them. Some of the more popular theories included algae bloom, lightning strike, extreme temperatures, and poison gas coming from an abandoned mine.
Well, I even seen in one article, aliens.
Well, I do think you can see why, people would be curious and they would think this is very mysterious. Number one, you haven't come out and told us anything about the cause of death other than you've eliminated certain things.
Right.
They did eliminate lightning strikes, which I would think if 3 humans and a dog were all killed by a lightning strike, there would be some evidence of that.
Yeah, you're right. I think there would be some type of evidence on their bodies.
And I think, making it mysterious also is the fact that, they're coming out and saying that these people, as well as the dog, essentially died at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. Normally when we're talking about that, we're in the area of murder or, accident. In September, the San Francisco Chronicle questioned whether the family could have succumbed to a toxic algae bloom. The Chronicle reported that mold from an algae bloom was found in the nearby Merced River, which runs along the bottom of the Savage Lundy Trail. It also reported on many animal deaths over the years that had occurred from drinking water tainted in this way, including the deaths of 356 elephants in Botswana who drank pond water tainted with algae bloom. However, it should be noted that no human deaths have ever been found to be from drinking algae bloom infested water.
Because I don't know if humans would drink algae infested water. It sounds nasty.
But here's where, we're into the area of the mainstream press trying to figure this out, because authorities are not giving information as to what happened to this family and their pet. Now, algae is found in all natural bodies of water. Algae can bloom, meaning the algae undergoes rapid and unchecked growth and reproduction. This occurs when the water is warm and either slow running or stagnant. And algae feed on an abundance of elements such as nitrogen and phosphorus. The abundance of algae consumes all of the oxygen in the water, creating an abundance of other gases that can be harmful to humans and animals. You can spot algae bloom in water if it looks like paint has been splashed across the surface. It can be brown, red, blue, green tinted. The water might be cloudy white. So, back to your point, okay, I think you can tell. And maybe that's why there have been no human deaths, because who would drink that?
Yeah, I'm thinking, who would ever take a sip out of a cloudy white pond or lake?
Or paint water.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking either one of those. Due to the presence of algae, along with other natural parasites that exist in bodies of water, experts suggest that people do not drink unfiltered or untreated water. And I think that's something that most people know. You got to be very careful. Just going down to a body of water and drinking it. Animals defecate in there. There's all kinds of stuff going on.
Oh, I can't even imagine what could be in some of the water that I drive past and see. I'm like, some of it just doesn't look appealing.
Oh, you don't think about pulling your truck over and getting you a sip?
No. Let me get my straw out and take a sip of that water.
Now, there are water kits that you can purchase. I have a straw. It's a big plastic straw.
Or one of those life straws?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have one of those in my bug out bag.
Have you tried using it yet? See
No.
what it tastes like?
No need to, because I sit about 10 feet away from filtered water. But it is a big deal. I mean, obviously, if you watch any of those outdoor shows, survival shows, water is life.
It really is.
And so they make a big deal about, how do you know whether or not water is safe to drink? If you're not sure, well, you better figure out a way to filter it or boil it or whatever. If the Gerrish family drank from water that was experiencing an algae bloom, it could have caused their deaths without leaving any signs or marks. And it was noted that park rangers and scientists had observed algae bloom in certain bodies of water in the Sierra National Forest a short while before the family went hiking. So I think you put all that stuff together, you can see why, some of the rumors started flying around and some of the theories that maybe it was this algae bloom that was responsible for their deaths. You figure the family might drink at the same time, might experience the same symptoms, and die within a very short time frame of each other.
It's a theory.
Next, let's talk about the theories that went around about them being struck by lightning. The odds of one person being struck by lightning are around 1 in 500,000. I thought it would have been higher than that, but I guess that's why, you hear that saying you're much more likely to be struck by lightning than you are to win the lottery.
I just remember that movie with when Brad Pitt goes from old to young or young to old.
Benjamin Buttons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one guy keeps getting hit by lightning.
Yeah. He you said he goes from old to young or young to old. Yeah, it's one of the two.
One of the two.
The Curious Case of Benjamin Buttons.
Yeah, that's it.
I like that movie a lot. It is very, very long. I mean, I think it's almost 4 hours long or 3 something.
It is a very long movie.
It's a long movie.
But it's a good movie.
According to a research article by AWSAB, it is possible for multiple people to be struck by a single lightning strike, even if they're not touching. Because I think that's the other thing you got to figure out. We just gave the odds of one person being struck by lightning. What are the odds of 3 people being struck by lightning and a dog at the same time?
You would think it'd be a rarity.
Yes, I would think so. But they're saying it's not impossible for multiple people to be struck by a single lightning strike. In June 2011, a single lightning strike was believed to have killed 18 children and their teacher at a school in Uganda. There was also a case in the U.S. where a group of hikers took shelter on the Appalachian Trail when the same lightning strike killed them because they were lying on metal-framed beds. And in 1975, 21 people were killed by a single lightning strike as they sat together on the dirt floor of the shelter in the country of Zimbabwe. With no metal available, the lightning bolt had nowhere to discharge into the ground, so it ended up spreading through the dirt floor, electrocuting all within the shelter. So these are some examples, but I think you have to take out the group that were lying on metal-framed beds.
Yeah.
We know this group was not lying on metal beds. It does also seem as though all of these occurred in structures. And that doesn't seem to be the case with the Gerrish family.
Right.
So, these are real. They happened, but do they directly correlate to the facts of our case? I would say no. Weather.gov reports that after being struck by lightning, some individuals may have visible burn patterns on parts of their body, while others have no exterior burn pattern because the lightning burns their interior organs and doesn't leave any marks on the outside.
But again, if you have 3 individuals and a dog, you would think maybe 1, 2, maybe all of them would have some type of exterior burns.
But even if they didn't, I think the autopsy is clearly going to show
Exactly.
the interior damage caused by a lightning strike. next, I think we have to talk about hyperthermia. That's the term for the effects of too much heat on the human body, probably more commonly known as heat stroke. When the Gerrish family took their hike, it was mid-August in the American West. You mentioned it, mostly desert. The weather is going to be hot and dry. Temperatures in the area where the family was hiking on the 15th reached a daily high of 109 degrees.
Brutal.
I tapped out at 100. I'm definitely not going anywhere near 109.
Yeah, not hanging out for that.
No, absolutely not. But, this trail kind of wound up and down through various gulches and canyons, and there was some tree cover that provided shelter from the blazing sun.
And that's what it would be, a blazing sun for sure.
At 109, absolutely. Now, the return route on their hike was mainly up an incline. And it was said that this slope changed in elevation about 4,000 feet along its length. If there was a scenario where they were, almost out of water, we said there was a little bit of water still left in their container. They were in direct sun. They were climbing up this steep incline. It is possible that they could have been affected by heat stroke to a lethal degree. Now, it was also theorized that the many abandoned mines left over from California's gold rush days may have been responsible for the Gerrish family's deaths. Mines that go deep into the earth can release several deadly gases, including carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and methane. Some have theorized that the family may have come into contact with these or other poisonous gases, which are invisible and odorless, making them difficult or impossible to detect without special equipment.
I mean, it's a possibility. Maybe they ventured past somewhere where some of these gas fumes were. I think it's probably unlikely, unless you're found inside one of these mines.
Yes. Well, right now, as we're comparing theories, the only one that really stands out to me is like heat stroke or hyperthermia.
For sure.
I'm not saying that any of the others couldn't have happened, but the odds just don't seem to be that good that it could have been those. This Devil's Gulch Trail and this area of the Sierra National Forest has a dark history. According to an article in the San Francisco Chronicle, locals called this area the Mariposa Bermuda Triangle due to its dark and sinister history. Yeah, I mentioned the Ferguson fires of 2018. During those fires, which decimated 146,000 acres, a firefighter died after he accidentally rolled his bulldozer down a ravine along the Heights Cove Road, which runs along the Savage Lundy Trail. The north side of the Savage Lundy Trail empties onto Highway 140 near the Yosemite Center Lodge. The lodge became a notorious landmark when in 1999, it became the killing grounds for serial killer Cary Stayner, known as the Yosemite Park Killer. We covered Stayner in an early episode of TCAT. Stayner killed 4 women within the park. One was a young park naturalist who lived alone in a cabin owned by the park, and the other 3 were a mother and daughter, along with a friend of the daughter who was in the area sightseeing at Yosemite on vacation. And we talked about this in our episode, but Cary's older brother, Stephen, is also famous, but for a much different reason. He was abducted and then helped a young child escape from a pedophile named Kenneth Parnell. Stephen suffered years of abuse at the hands of this guy. Parnell worked at the Yosemite Lodge when he abducted Stephen. When Stephen became too old to be of interest to Parnell, the man abducted a younger boy, inspiring Stephen to help them both escape. And they made that movie about it. My Name is Stephen.
Yeah, I remember that.
In the fall of 1999, Cary Stayner was working as a maintenance man at the Yosemite Cedar Lodge Motel when 42-year-old Carol Sund, her 15-year-old daughter Julie, and a 16-year-old exchange student from Argentina named Silvina Peloso checked into the lodge's guests. They planned to tour Yosemite the following day. Stayner gained access to their room by pretending that a repair was needed in the bathroom. Stainer killed Carol and her daughter's friend Sylvina immediately, and then abducted Julie, subjecting her to hours of torture and rape before killing her. The victims were later found in the trunk of Carol's rental car. Stainer also murdered 26-year-old naturalist Joy Armstrong, who was staying in a cabin at Yosemite Park to conduct research. She was packing up to leave that day when Stainer came upon her. After assaulting her, he decapitated her, leaving her dismembered body in a nearby stream to be found by park rangers. It was after this murder that Stainer was captured.
Man, I remember when we did this case on TCAT, it was rough.
Yeah, it was rough. This was a really bad guy who did some extremely violent, vicious, nasty things.
I keep thinking about being the parents of these boys, going from one extreme with one kid to another extreme with this guy. But still, when you think about this Devil's Gulch and some of this history that it has, kind of unnerving.
There are also other lesser-known deaths and disappearances connected to this area, which I guess has led to its sinister nickname of Devil's Gulch. But, when I look back on it, the guy rolling the machine down the hill, that was an accident.
That could happen on any major incline, potentially, right?
Yeah, and there are serial killers, have been serial killers who have operated all over the place. So, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I think people like to make more out of a place's history than what it really means.
Sometimes it can be good for tourism.
Maybe. But it does add to this story, right? The Gerrish family was found with no obvious cause of death in a place called the Devil's Gulch. So it kind of added to the mystery, I think.
Oh, I think it did.
Now, there were some people who wondered whether a serial killer could have been responsible for the murder of the Gerrish family. But we said it, right? Authorities were quick to rule out kind of a killer at large scenario in the area. But until a cause of death was determined, the speculation and conspiracy theories ran rampant. And that's going to happen.
Well, yeah.
Until you tell people something, they're going to speculate. That's just human nature.
On everything.
On October 21st, 2021, the Mariposa Sheriff's Office held what they deemed to be the final press conference in the case, saying, "Today is going to be our final update in the Gerrish Chung case. This was a tragic incident, tragic situation, and has been a very unique case to investigate from the onset. As of Friday, October 15th, we have determined the official cause of death. Our pathologist has completed his report based on the autopsy, our investigation, and a multitude of toxicology results. The cause of death for Jonathan Gerrish, Ellen Chung, and Aurelia Miju Chung Gerrish has been determined to be hyperthermia and probable dehydration due to environmental exposure." Now, I just said not that long ago that to me, that sounds like the one that was most viable of all the theories and speculation. So that's what it turns out to be. But is that also gives, and I think a lot of people still believe this about this case, the one that is left after you've kind of ruled out everything else? Well, it must have been hyperthermia / dehydration.
It does seem to be the one that checks all the boxes.
True Crime All the Time Unsolved is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Most of you listening right now are probably multitasking. Yep, while you're listening to Gibby and I talk, you're probably also driving, cleaning, exercising, or maybe even grocery shopping. But if you're not in some kind of moving vehicle, there's something else you can be doing right now. Getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy, and you could save money by doing it right from your phone. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save over $700 on average. And auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Discounts for having multiple vehicles in your policy, being a homeowner, and more. So just like your favorite podcast, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year, so you're protected no matter what. Multitask right now. Quote your car insurance at Progressive.com to join the over 27 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customer survey, who saved with Progressive between June 2020 and May 2021. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations. Hey folks, if you're like me, before you buy something or you book a table at that new restaurant, you pore over lists of reviews. So why not do the same when you're booking a doctor's appointment? With ZocDoc, you can see real verified patient reviews to help find the right doctor in your network and in your neighborhood. ZocDoc is a free app that shows you doctors who are patient reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them. On ZocDoc, you can find every specialist under the sun. ZocDoc has you covered. Their mobile app is as easy as ordering a ride to a restaurant or getting delivery to your house. You can search, find, and book doctors with just a few taps. Go to ZocDoc.com, find the doctor that is right for you, and book an appointment in person or remotely that works for your schedule. Every month, millions of people use ZocDoc, and I'm one of them. It's my go-to whenever I need to find and book a quality doctor. Go to ZocDoc.com/unsolved and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then start your search for a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc.com/unsolved, ZocDoc.com/unsolved. According to SierraNewsOnline.com, their dog Oski's cause of death remains undetermined. And based on the condition of Oski's remains and evidence at the scene, investigators believe that Oski was possibly suffering from heat-related issues. Sheriff Jeremy Breesy told the press, "Heat-related deaths are extremely difficult to investigate, and I want to thank you all for being patient with us as we investigated this case. As I've mentioned, the Gerrish Chung family have been our top priority as we dealt with this horrible event." WebMD states that hyperthermia occurs when the body is unable to regulate its own temperature through sweating or being cooled. If the temperature of the body is not lowered, the brain and other organs can swell, leading to death in extreme cases. LiveScience.com reports that humans can suffer hyperthermia at any temperature above 95 degrees if the relative humidity is 50% or more, making it harder to sweat, which cools the body. At the most extreme, 10 minutes at 140 degrees will kill most people.
Well, that's a really extreme. I don't know who's hanging out 140 degrees.
Yeah, since I'm not touching triple digits, 140 degrees is, but I get it for reference.
Yeah, I get what they're trying to say there.
Yeah, so 10 minutes at 140 kind of gives you a ballpark. Now, what would it be at 109? 30 minutes? I don't know the answer, but I would also say there's a lot of factors there, right? Are you saying no shade whatsoever, no water whatsoever? And it's something we'll probably talk about at the end, but there was still water in their pack.
Yeah.
So
a little bit. The San Francisco Chronicle reported that the Gerrish family had only been hiking for less than 4 hours when they died. They had consumed almost 85 ounces of water between them and a bottle of formula for Miju. They didn't carry a dog water bowl for Oski, but that doesn't mean, the dog didn't drink. No.
Many people do not accept this simplistic explanation for the Gerrish family deaths. They believe that hyperthermia would have affected different members of the family at different rates and times, given the vast differences in their body sizes. And the thought is, by many, that this would have allowed at least one to get help and save the others by the time the effects of the condition were known. Others have stated that dogs suffer hyperthermia at a much slower rate than humans, meaning that Oski should have survived the experience. And this is just, another thing that feeds into the theory that they really died of some other cause. And I do understand this way of thinking because I thought it too as I was going through the research.
Yeah, same here.
I keep coming back to this notion that they all died at relatively the same time.
I mean, they both were avid hikers.
I just found it very hard to believe that, all three of these individuals would have experienced hyperthermia in the exact same way, with the exact same timing, given that obviously their body masses are much different. But I think that's one thing that people struggle with too.
And I think I struggle with the fact that for being experienced and avid hikers, it seems like they did some things that were odd.
Yeah, the research said that the adults wore shorts and tank tops, but they didn't wear hats. Okay, if you know it's going to be blazing hot, the sun's going to be beating down on you, don't you want something to kind of give you just a bit of shade? And I would say, yeah.
I would say, yeah, too.
Now, it is thought that they may not have known that while this area was previously shaded, it was now unshaded because of the fires. It was also said that Jonathan carried a cell phone, but he didn't have any service, right? So he had no way to call for help. A lot of people online have said, okay, why didn't he have like a small GPS device with some type of an emergency feature? Yeah, I get it. That would have been great. Did he maybe assume that there would be cell phone service? I assume that most places I go, I'm going to have cell phone service. I'm kind of shocked, to be honest with you, when I get into an area and find out I don't have it.
It's not like it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, this is a very recent thing. Now, they are in the Sierra Mountains, so I wouldn't go to the mountains and naturally assume that I'm going to have cell phone service.
I might be testing that when I get there. But also, if you're a seasoned hiker, maybe you're thinking, I'm just going to go for a few hours. I pulled the trail up on my phone. It doesn't seem like it's going to be too difficult.
Yeah, I've done it hundreds and hundreds of times.
Yeah, so I'll go in, get out. I'll be okay. I don't need to have a GPS system.
Now, since the medical examiner has issued an official cause of death, no further investigation into the case will be conducted. That's not going to stop armchair detectives and people online, right? They're going to continue to debate the many mysteries surrounding the sad deaths of Jonathan, Ellen, Miju, and Oski. And I got to be honest with you, man, I'm not sure about this one. Again, I'm not privy to all the details of the autopsy and the toxicology and everything that these professionals had to work with. So, most of the time I kind of rely on the fact that they're good at their jobs and, they did their job and this is what they came up with. But we do find out in a number of cases that, sometimes it's not conclusive, but they've ruled everything else out.
Right.
And that's their best, I don't want to call it guess, their best, most accurate determination that they can come up with. But is it conclusive? And that I don't know. We even talked about, somebody in the investigation saying that these hyperthermia deaths are really tough to investigate. So I don't know.
I think one of the problems I have with the case is that they all died pretty much huddled together. I mean, yeah, Ellen was like 30 feet away, but still at the same time in that same area, I feel like somebody in that group would have gone to get help.
And, some people would say that's what Ellen was doing. And that's why she was found, 30 yards away. Let's be honest. There's that old saying, sometimes the simplest answer is the correct one. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that it was hyperthermia. It's just, I don't know. It's a tough one. That's why it's a mystery.
Yeah.
4 months after the announcement, there was an update. In February of this year, according to the Los Angeles Times, the FBI was able to pull data from Jonathan's iPhone. And the following is what they found. Jonathan and Ellen took multiple photos throughout the hike. At 7:44 a.m., the couple took a photo and video a few yards from the trailhead. A photo of the trail followed at 8 a.m. And investigators found a photo of the Merced River taken at 9:05 a.m. They found 8 photos of the river and of the couple taken from 9:35 to 9:39 a.m. at 10 a.m. and 10:16 a.m. They took 2 selfie-style family photos. 2 photos of a creek or river were taken at 10:29. The final image stored on the phone came at 12:25 p.m., a screenshot of their location from a smartphone trail application. Authorities also found a series of 5 attempted phone calls made between 12:09 and 12:36, but none of these were made to 911. None of the calls went through, and there was also an attempted text message that didn't go through that read, "Name redacted, can you help us? On Savage Lundy Trail, heading back to Heights Cove Trail. No water, overheating with baby." According to the Los Angeles Times, Sheriff Breesy said the cell phone data results were the last thing both the family and detectives were waiting on. The extracted information confirms our initial findings. I'm very proud of my team and our partner agencies for all the work they put in. Their dedication has allowed us to close this case and answer lingering questions the family had, bringing them a little peace. So, when you factor in the calls, and especially this text message, it does lend more credence.
It does.
You'd have to say that to the hyperthermia conclusion. It literally says, no water, overheating with baby.
I think you just have to ask, why didn't someone break away from the pack a little bit earlier to go get help?
And I just wonder, was it a case of not knowing until it was too late? Not breaking off or trying to get help, because by the time that option entered your head, it was too late.
It's too late, yeah.
Or maybe Ellen did try it at a certain point, but she couldn't make it very far.
Didn't realize she didn't have the strength.
As we wrap up this case, it's a very interesting mystery, and I'll still call it a mystery, even though I think these latest revelations do shed a lot of light on it. But even with the latest finding, there's still a lot of buzz on the internet. There's still a lot of people who have a hard time believing that this is exactly what happened. There's also a lot of people online who have a hard time believing kind of what you've said a couple of times, which is, why didn't someone go off to get help?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who think there's still more to the story, something more. But others have concluded that the facts are in, it's sad, but all parties died of heat stroke.
Yeah, just a tragic event.
Well, you said it. I mean, it's tragic no matter how it went down. I think for me, the one thing that I'm still struggling with, even with the text message, is this finding that they all died at the same time. I just don't see how it happened that way. If anything, as tough as it is to talk about, you would think that a 1-year-old would succumb the quickest.
Sure.
Followed by the parents in some order, but maybe staggered.
Right.
And then the dog probably later. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where the 1-year-old passes first and how devastating that would be to the parents, and that might have an impact on them
functioning. It could immobilize them.
Exactly.
It really could. And then, we love dogs.
We do.
And a good dog is not going to run off.
No.
Especially when that dog knows that their family is suffering. They're going to be right there.
Yeah.
And so, it's all sad. It's all tragic, but it is still an interesting case. I think the variety of the speculations coupled with the facts that are known, the determination, and then the text message, it's all worth discussing for sure. But that's it for our episode on the mysterious deaths in Devil's Gulch. We got some voicemails. You want to check those out?
Let's hear them.
Hi, Mike and Gibby. This is Luz calling in from New York City. I just wanted to let you know that I love your podcast, that I am really obsessed with listening to it during my daily walks. You are great company. I love your sense of humor, your chemistry. I love you both. Gibby, your laugh and all the mistakes you make when talking about movies and actors always crack me up. Is just so funny, the banter between both of you. I love how you respect the victims. I am a fan of true crime. It is something that I have always loved, and I found your podcast, and I am a number one fan. So stay safe, keep the good work, and keep your own time ticking. Bye. Very big hugs from New York City. Bye.
We know the one thing we never pass up.
New York City.
No, very big hugs.
Oh, very good.
New York City.
Yeah.
No, very big hugs. I never pass up a very big hug. No, that was a very nice voicemail. Appreciate it.
I do. And for the record, I get every movie question correct.
Yeah, I just spin it in the way that makes you sound.
Yeah.
It's all editing.
Exactly.
I do it in the editing.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike and Gibby. Oh, this is so crazy. I never thought I'd be one to leave a voicemail. I am Sierra from Phoenix, originally from Washington. But I was just talking with my brother tonight about different serial killers, and I, of course, mentioned your guys' podcast. You guys are my favorite podcast. You're the only one that I listen to. I almost consider you guys kind of like friends. I listen to you guys throughout work, and you get me through my day. But I read a book a long time ago about a serial killer from France. He lived in Paris back during, I think it was World War II, Dr. Petiot. And he basically would tell people that he could get them, out of the country, escape them, get them out of the country, and have them escape. And instead of, getting them out, he would take them and he would kill them, and he would dissolve them in lime in his basement. Anyways, it's a really interesting story. I believe he's one of the first known serial killers in France. I could be wrong about that, but I thought it would be really interesting to have you guys do it, and I'd love to hear your guys' take on it. Anyways, I am a True Crime All the Time fan, both unsolved and regular, and I am Team Mike. I could not have one without the other. Anyways, so I hope to hopefully hear you guys do that case, and I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks for the voicemail. So obviously she's talking about a case for TCAT. We'll look into that, but she said she left unsolved. So it's hard to find unsolved voicemails.
We should do that because I'm very non-fluid in French.
You are?
Yeah.
Except for oui, oui. I know you can say that. You said it many times.
Because I do it all the time.
You
I have to go oui, oui here in a little bit too.
So the one thing that jumped out at me was, very natural, right? For brothers and sisters when they get together to talk about serial killers.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, dinner time conversation.
Exactly.
Hi, Mike and Gibby. This is Molly from Ohio. I'm actually right in between Cincinnati and Dayton. I started listening in April, and I'm all caught up on regular TCAT, currently on episode 71 on Unsolved. I wanted to come on here and give my almost husband, Josh Schwartz, a shout out because he's a longtime fan and we love your show. We actually get married on the 19th of this month, so I hope he hears this in time. Anyways, love your show. Gets me through my days working at home. Love you both, and keep your own time ticking.
Well, may the Schwartz be with you.
Exactly. And I hope he does hear it. But I guess I didn't realize that she said she's on episode 71.
She's got a while to go.
Yeah.
So maybe she'll jump forward just to see
if the voicemail is on there.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. All right, buddy. That is it for another episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved. So for Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking.
All month long on Pluto TV, stream the biggest Tyler Perry movies free. Watch your favorites like Medea's Witness Protection and Medea's Big Happy Family. Join Tyler Perry as he goes on a couples retreat with Sharon Leal in Why Did I Get Married? Or Idris Elba and Gabrielle Union in the Tyler Perry directed film Daddy's Little Girls. Plus, Pluto TV has hundreds of channels with thousands more movies and TV shows. Available on live and on demand. Download the free Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices and start streaming now. Pluto TV. Drop in, watch free.